Were you protected? Were you protected from a Claudine Gay that tried to get you to lose your tenure so they could fire you? Were you protected? Do you feel protected that they can't touch you and do anything to you because you came up with a study that goes against Claudine Gay and maybe, you know, her connection to former President Barack Obama, who's loved by folks like Claudine Gay or the Democratic Party, where she may lose favor there? Why would you write a paper like this? This goes against our agenda of us being able to do this. We can't come up with. Do you feel safe today? Like, meaning if you do the next thing and you come up with, like, for example, right now, let's just say the next thing inspires you. Do you believe words have power?
I do.
Do you believe affirmations, you know, daily affirmations? You give me the vibes of somebody that believes in daily affirmations.
Not at all.
Are you, meaning, meaning, do you believe that when you said, I am never going to pout, I've never been that guy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of affirmation. Okay. Like you believe that's who you are, right? Okay. So words have power. So, you know, let's say next thing you get obsessed with, you're like, you know what? I want to find out if the CIA was involved in bringing hip-hop rap to the African-American community and writing a song called F the Police, you know, and that goes viral, and we pin the African-American community against cops, and words have a lot of power. You and I can probably, I don't know, I can recite a lot of songs by Tupac. I can recite a lot of songs by, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony, by, you know, RBL Posse, probably by a lot of those rappers from my time, right? And when you say some of the words, you're like, oh, shoot, I just go Eazy-E, you know? And then you're like, wow, what am I saying? More murder, come again. Or, what are we talking about here, right? Now, what if you all of a sudden are inspired to do that? And you do the study, and it comes out it's true. Hip-hop used to be not gangster rap. 80s hip-hop is different than 90s hip-hop, right? And today it's mumble hip-hop, and, you know, you've seen Snoop say, mama na, humma na. It's a very different rap, right? Yeah. So what if you get inspired to want to investigate that? Yeah. And all of a sudden you find out, dude, these guys freaking tried to do this to us to put in jail so our communities would be hurt with social economics. That's dirty. Would you feel safe doing that investigation and that research today?
Well, first, I'm going to answer that directly.
Please.
It's a great question. First, if you take out the CIA angle, which I hadn't heard about, I'm doing exactly that study right now.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so we'll get to that.
Sick.
It's great.
So I'm fascinated with the impact of not just hip-hop generally on inequality, but the specific words and language, because I do believe that words matter. And AI has now come out and allowed us to do this in a much more serious way and scalable way. We can talk about that later. Would I feel safe? No, but I've never felt safe, and I'm not going to.
But you got to buy brie cheese.
You got to get brie cheese. You better get on
it. Dude, you got to be careful with that cheese. It's expensive.
You know, I'm stocking it up. I'm the only black person with brie in the freezer. So I got brie on layaway and shit.
So you're a prepper. So
every week I put something on it.
So you're saying you're a prepper, right?
Oh my God!
You're getting ready for post-scarcity world.
Give me this comb tea on.
Oh my God!
On layaway.
Oh my God!
Okay, so you're and I appreciate that, but so you're afraid, but you're still going to do it. So
no, I didn't say I was afraid. I said I don't feel safe. They're different.
Don't feel safe.
No, I don't. Right? Like, and it's okay. I don't remember the last time I felt safe. I went to a friend of mine. I only have a couple of them from school days. And I went to him and I said, man, there's so much uncertainty. What do I do? He lives right outside of Dallas. And he said to me, but you love uncertainty. I was like, no, I don't. He said, well, it seems like you do, right? Because you've lived in it for so long.
Sure.
So yes, I don't feel safe. I'm not going to feel safe. After, our back and forth between Harvard and I'm never going to feel safe. That's just not an option. But I'm going to keep going because I'm willing to die on this hill.
Now, why are you investigating this, though? Link with hip-hop and
It's the biggest cultural revolution that I've seen in my lifetime, and we have no idea what the impacts of it are on economic mobility, inequality, teen pregnancy, all sorts of other social factors. So I would ask you the question, how can I not?
Yep.
Listen, I admire that you're doing it because respect to you. Because again, Rob, what was the first gangster rap song? What was the first one?
Oh man,
what's the first gangster rap song? Like the first one?
Like a popular one?
I don't care if it's okay. So Ice-T had been emceeing since the early '80s, but he first turned to gangster rap themes after being introduced to Schoolie D's self-titled debut album, and especially the song PSK. What Does It Mean, which is regarded to the first gangster rap song Schoolie D had, Am I Black Enough for You, in the album of 1989. So that's the first one, right? Rob, can you go to the lyrics of F the Police? Can you go to, let me see this here. If we go to lyrics, and let's see if there's, okay, right number 10, W, full of action. The police straight from the underground, young, got a bad because I'm down and brown and not the other color since police. So police think they have the authority to kill a minority because I ain't the one for a punk mother with a badge and a gun to be beaten on, thrown in jail. We can go toe to toe in the middle of a cell. So this, when you read this, obviously it was a hit. I mean,
well, the beat was great.
First of all, I listened to it.
My mom would sing this. My mom was like, she'd hear a siren, she'd be like, the police. I'm like, Mom.
So I tell you, I'm 14 years old. You should ask this question to my dad.
Okay.
I said, Dad, can you stop by Warehouse? My parents are divorced. I see him every other week. I'm like, buy me a tape, 99 cents. You go to Warehouse, you pick something up. He says, which one? I said, it's just this new jazz song that came out by this guy named Eazy-E. It's a jazz song. So yeah, it's called Real Mother. You know, it's like, well, you know how.
Yeah, of course.
So he says, oh, okay, let's go. We go buy it, and we get in the car. I'm like, freaking awesome.
Oh,
this is great hip. You know, this is finally I can play something while I'm working out when I'm going to YMCA. And he says, I want to hear this jazz song. So you don't want to hear it. It's not your type.
Gabriel,
you should ask him.
I'm going to.
He's listening to it. When I put it in, and he says, yeah, no. We went back for 99 cents. This guy returned it back to Warehouse. He says, you're not going to listen to that. I said, well, I listened to it anyways. But back in the days, it was a different story. So I admire you for wanting to pursue this, to see, what kind of, do you believe, without even doing the research, that it did have major impact in the community?
Yeah, but probably different than you imagine.
You think so?
Wow.
My hypothesis is that it had different effects depending upon where you were living. I don't know if this is true or not now, and I'm on record saying I was completely wrong about the police. But my view is for people who live in the inner cities, this is going to have very little effect. I think it's already, this type of language is already out there. People are already having these discussions. That's where the songs come from. Now the question is, for the kid in the suburb, who those discussions were not having, right? So imagine you move your kids out to the suburb, right? And then you're trying to get away from some of these things. And then now they can just tune in on radio and get the same and log in and tap into that type of identity. That might be dangerous. So that's my hypothesis, is that yes, it's going to have big effects, but not where you imagine.
And music, if you think about it, music is so powerful. We always talked about it, especially with like putting a trance on people. Like if you listen to gangster rap, be honest, you feel like that. When you listen to jazz, your mood changes, you're happy. And easy, like you said, you take somebody out of the hood and now they're in the suburbs and stuff, and then they hear the police. When they get pulled over, what do you think their attitude's going to be?
Do you have a clip of what Ice Cube said about this? He didn't say, do you have the other clip with the CIA guy or no?
Well, I don't have the clip, but his name is John Homestead. He's a retired CIA agent. And
play
he admitted,
this clip.
He
play
admitted
this clip, Rob.
Okay, let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So
wow.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. So, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't.
Wow.
Certain flavors are exposed on the record. You know, some records are made by committee. Meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. So the narrative is really kind of, you know, structured and really made into what the record company want the record to be.
You can pause it
what
right there, Ron.
You know, a lot of artists are.
You should make a song called "Hug the Police" just to flip it around.
Love the police.
Hug the
But
police.
you remember that one reverend.
That better have a real good beat.
Like fantastic.
Fantastic beat.
Yeah. They have to get like Scott Storch or somebody really good to make a sick
But
beat.
by the way, if there's anybody that is qualified to speak on that, it's Ice Cube.
1,000%.
Is there anybody bigger than him? I just right now we came up with the first, Ice Cube's name is linked to it, so he has the moral authority to talk about that. Tom, you were talking about a man earlier, George, I think it's Wackenhut or whatever his name was. Can you unpack the story you were telling us before?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a rabbit hole here, but
We love those, Tom.
But no, it's real. So George Wackenhut, pioneered privatized prisons, where rather than governments building prisons, it's like, hey, you need a prison. How about we build it for you, and it'll be the state of California correctional facility or whatever it is, and you just send your customers, your criminals here, we'll take care of them, and you just pay us by the person. And then we'll take it. That way you don't have to build it, because you have to get these big bonds to build schools, water infrastructure, prisons. They come up on ballots all the time. And people say, need another prison? They used to say, yes, oh my goodness, we're going to reduce crime or build a prison. Never mind if they do the real research on recidivation rates. It's a fallacy. Most prisons are crime college, and they come back out and go back in, unfortunately. And Wackenhut was then acquired by GS4 or G4, whatever it was. And what's interesting is the privatization of American prisons was like turbocharged. And I think it's, Rob, a prison now, GS4, G4, that bought Wackenhut. And it's a major international conglomerate now. And what was interesting is they needed customers, and the private prison industry in California lobbied for the three strikes law. And the three strikes law that, here comes rabbit hole, that Attorney General Kamala Harris in California, she greenlit and modified the weight-based possession implies distribution. You know what I'm talking about? That over a certain weight, like over an ounce of marijuana, you're intending to distribute. Right. And now they can turn what was possession for my birthday party into a felony distribution charge, and you get three strikes, and now the customers are filling the prisons, and there's a big cycle there. But there it is, G4S. And now they are a giant operator of privatized prisons, and they needed customers. And then the three strikes law, it's always good to be a politician running to be tough on crime. Yeah. And now you have this big cycle that comes around. You're nodding a little bit. Have you, looking back into, you were looking into crime statistics and have you dove into that and had thoughts on that?
I haven't at all. I'm not an expert at all on private prisons, and didn't know Wackenhut until you just mentioned it. But obviously, I've heard of him and the viewpoints about the issues with private prisons. I'm aware of, but I don't. I didn't look into it in terms of research. No. And
the three strikes law, certainly California, had a very bad effect.
Yeah, of course.
Because you took young men that probably should have been in and out for a minor charge, and suddenly three strikes, they're in. And now they're in crime college.
Right.
And it's horrible. What was interesting to me about all this, we were talking also about music and how there are these social triggers. It'd be really interesting to see the depth of your research that comes out of that.
Tom was a big Rap and Forte guy back in the days.
Tom was a Biggie, Tupac, NWA. Yeah.
When I look at Tom, I say, I think fuck the police. That's what I think.
No. That's what we're talking about. That's what he was singing in the way here today.
Yeah,
Roland, he doesn't play games, bro.
He was humming in the green room.
Not to be proud of, but
Here we go.
Here we go.
April of my senior year in college, I found myself in the back of a police car at 10:15 in the morning. 6 moving violations in 2 miles and attempting to evade pursuit. That last one really gets them going, by the way. And I was pulled over, and I'm wearing a tie and a white shirt. I was late for work, driving like a complete idiot. And when I had my hands on the back of my car and I'm answering questions, and they then emptied out my car. They were looking for a seat or a rolling paper, anything. There's nothing in my car. But the back of my head, he gave me a push, and he bounced my chin and my nose on the back of my car.
Oh, my God.
I didn't get bloodied.
Motive, Tom.
No, I didn't get bloodied
We got to go
up.
find that guy.
I didn't get bloodied up, but the point is, there's a different world out there, and if you want to cross over into the world of law enforcement, it's a different world.
And that's when you drove away and you played
No,
at the police
no, I-
loud.
No,
you were like,
I-
yeah, bitch. Like, I know what you did, Tom.
I got to go to ride. I got to ride in a police car, and I got to get.
But Roland, you don't talk the talk. You walk the walk. When you said you were doing your research, you went with cops on the ride-alongs, and you said your attitude kind of changed because you were like, yo, this is not an easy job. You know what I'm saying? Like, what and I remember the story that you said, Roland, about showing up and somebody OD'd, and you were like, yo, let's go get drinks on me. And they're like, what are you talking about, bro? We still got to finish the job. Out of all the ride-alongs, what was like the craziest thing that you saw that you were like, oh my God? Because you went through simulation too, correct?
Yeah. It was the busting in the row house and watching someone
Die.
OD. Yeah, man. That was
Oof.
It's not every day you see that up in Cambridge. Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was crazy. But it did. I think because. Given what's happened with in the relationship with police, people aren't talking enough about the police mental health. That's something I'm very, very interested in. We have all this data out there from body cam footage and other data. We should be developing predictive models that say, hey, this thing's going to escalate because in the past, this is what it looked like before someone did something that was against, policy. So can we have predictive models to figure that stuff out? I mean, I think it's a really, really hard job, and it's hard not to, I'm embarrassed, but it's hard not to see everyone. I mean, as a criminal, you're out there like an Uber driver, just chasing around going, what are you doing? What is that person doing?
Yeah.
And on the other side, when you roll down the street, people just stop and start scattering, right?
Exactly.
And so it's two sides to it. And that was probably the best education I'd gotten since my grandmother taught me how to read, was going around with the police and understanding what they see relative to what I thought was going on.
Long term, what are you solving for? Long term, like, are you aspirational? Is it, hey man, just leave me alone. Let me teach. Let me write some papers. Let me do my thing. Let me be a father. Let me be a husband. Let me do my thing, and I'm enjoying my life. I have no aspiration for anything else outside for being a professor and getting to the bottom of certain articles and issues that I'm interested in. What's long term? What are you solving for long term?
No, I'm bad at all those things you mentioned because of my real aspiration, which is to fundamentally change the trajectory for minorities in America. Maybe that's too aspirational, but that's it. It is. My grandmother used to say, why do you work so hard? You're killing yourself, et cetera. And I said, when we believe that the market for talent is perfect, I'll stop. I don't take days off. I haven't had a vacation in more than a decade. I work Christmas Day because I am absolutely on a mission to ensure that everyone's got a fair shot at this thing.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party.
Tulsi Gabbard says she is no longer a Democrat. A potential Tulsi Gabbard VP.
Where we are being told that we just have to comply and go along with whatever they say. American people are smarter than this. However, we must remain vigilant to recognize their propaganda for what it is, pure lie. Unfortunately, we live in a time where free speech is under attack. whatever they say goes, and we have to just follow.
And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Taking on Kamala Harris on a debate stage before, I would look forward to doing that again.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.